So after finishing my desert rocks, I had the idea to maybe find a way to link them, so you don't have to use up lots of movement to access the various levels. So how to do it? Inspiration came from Rudyard Kipling's The Man Who Would Be King. Now, with all the different sizes of models and bases, the rope barriers at the side that Sean Connery is using won't be practical. But the wooden plank bridge, I like that, so let's see what I can do. The timing was great, because I have a limited number of paints that I've been using. I have my high fleet colours, and my main supply for terrain was my big tubes of black and white acrylic for all my stone and concrete terrain. But then, my gaming mate wanted to offload all the paints he doesn't use before they just solidify. Of course, I accepted, but I forgot. He goes to painting tutorials, classes and competitions. Instead of rope, I'm going with solid poles that will be represented with wooden barbecue skewers. I snipped off the pointy end and then laid them down to be rails for the planks, almost like inverted railroad tracks with the sleepers on top. Then, grabbing some wire cutters, I snipped at the rounded ends off of lollipop sticks and then cut them in half. Cupping the stick is wise when you do this, as the bits tend to fire off in all directions like a Father Jack now clip-in.
God, I don't know. Another bloody window gone.
Not dangerous, just takes ages to find them all. With an X-Acto and utility knife, I cut little V-shaped notches from a bunch of the ends and also carved off some sides to make them look a little less perfectly cut. Then, using Elmer's glue, I added them to the skewers. For additional support beneath the planks, some thinner popsicle sticks glued along the underside and some cocktail sticks with the points cut off added as well. This looks really good, so I quickly rustled up another one. When shopping at the craft store for basic supplies a while back, I spotted containers of these things called diamond dots. Little half domes? Them's not art, them's grimdark bolts. With tweezers, I dipped the domes in glue and added them to where the plank lies over the support struts. Then, a blast of primer. This looks so good, I quickly rustled up another pair of walkways. Now, on to painting. Using apple barrel matte brown oxide, I dry brushed coming in from the ends of the planks. Loading up the brush, the initial swipe gives a distinct application at the ends, and by sweeping inward, the paint comes away and gets a nice gradient, and as it vanishes, some swipes between the planks to add a little hint to the supports. When cleaning my brush, I realised I'm going to need to be careful. I really don't want a nice swig of cold paint instead of a sip of nice hot PG Tips tea. Adding a little acrylic white to the brown, I stirred it up and added a more frugal dry brush to the ends of the planks. So, here's the stages so far. Now, a light wash of Citadel Shade Seraphim Sepia. This really brought out the textures. Grabbing the mithril silver, I delicately painted each of the dots, and then, once this was dry, I dipped the brush in the Seraphim Sepia and dropped it on the dot so that it gave the silver a more copper-esque rusted metal look and a nice halo of shade around each of the fastenings, like mould or rust or some other discolouring. The width of the walkways is also perfect for linking my ruins. Here's one of the window cutouts from my Imperial factory. The support poles will slot perfectly into this hole. And here's all 4 of the walkways painted up and ready for an application of varnish on both sides. My ramshackle walkways, hastily cobbled together from wooden planks and other refuse. They serve as quick means to travel between the towering desert structures. Poles and other beams act as rails, supporting boards that have been bolted into place. Not exactly the safest means of travel without any guardrails or indeed a method of anchoring them to the rock, but in the war-torn wastelands there are far graver hazards than taking a nasty tumble.